This is Jupiter Today for the 12th of January 2015. Jupiter Today is a daily podcast focusing attention on the dynamic Jupiter system for the purpose of monitoring activity. At 0 hours UTC, Jupiter is on the celestial sphere at a right ascension of 9 hours, 33 minutes, 3.4 seconds, and a declination of positive 15 degrees, 28 minutes, 40.0 seconds. The angular separation of Jupiter from the Sun, as seen from Earth, is 150.637 degrees, and that's 1.119 degrees greater than what it was yesterday. The phase angle, which is the angle between the Earth and the Sun as seen from Jupiter, continues to get less and less every day as Earth moves around the Sun to essentially catch up to Jupiter when Jupiter is at opposition. That phase angle is 5.195 degrees, and that's 0.18 degrees less than what it was yesterday. The distance between Earth and Jupiter continues to get less and less as we move towards opposition. Today it's 664,975,113 kilometers, and that's 1,160,905 kilometers closer than what it was yesterday. The relative velocity between the Earth and Jupiter continues to slow, and today it's at 48,371.04 kilometers per hour, and that's 1,656.54 kilometers slower than what it was yesterday. The central meridian at 0 hours UTC, CM1, 355.05 degrees, CM2, 206.6 degrees, CM3, 108.28 degrees. I'm again happy to be able to reintroduce this graphic into this podcast. This data, by the way, is taken from the JPL Horizons website. You can see the path of Io over the next 24 hours, and Europa, and Ganymede, and Callisto. And the blue line indicates the direction to the Earth from Jupiter and to the Sun from Jupiter. So at 0 hours UTC, you can see that Io is beginning its day in quadrant 3, heading west. Europa spends most of its day in quadrant 1, heading east. Ganymede starts the day actually transiting Jupiter from our point of view. Here's Earth's point of view. It's going to be moving right in between Jupiter and the Earth, which means it's transiting Jupiter from Earth's point of view. And then it's going to be moving into quadrant 3 for the rest of the day. And Callisto starts the day at its western elongation and moves into quadrant 4 and is there the rest of the day. And here's the Earth point of view. You can see now that where Ganymede and Europa are in this configuration. Europa's just coming out and Ganymede's just going in. So that's a nice new perspective. So by 6 hours UTC, Io is near its western elongation. It's going to be moving into quadrant 4 and starting to head towards Jupiter, eastward. Europa and Ganymede and Callisto continue their previous motions. 12 hours UTC. Io is firmly in quadrant 4, heading east. 12 hours UTC. Io is moving behind Jupiter, so going into quadrant 1, heading east. And by 0 hours UTC tomorrow, Europa is just past its eastern elongation and is now in quadrant 2, heading west. Io is still in quadrant 1, heading east. There are 4 Jupiter satellite events today. At 0 hours 55 minutes UTC, the shadow of Ganymede egresses. At 3:22, the transit of Ganymede ends. At 16:31, Io moves into the shadow of Jupiter. And at 19:26, Io reappears from behind Jupiter. And there are 2 satellite mutual events today. First takes place at 9:21 UTC, when the shadow of Ganymede eclipses Io. And here it is from Earth's point of view. We can also now look at it this way, and we can sort of estimate where 9:21 is. This is 0 hours on Ganymede. Here's 6, here's 12, so here's about 9 on Ganymede, and here's about 9 on Io, and you can see that if you draw a line between those 2 points, they'll be parallel to this sun line here. And then the other event takes place at 11:01 and goes to 11:07, and that's when Ganymede occults Io. It's a 6.3 minute event with a magnitude flux drop of 0.19 magnitudes, and we can see that as well. It's almost noon, just before noon on Io, and just before noon on Ganymede, and if you line those 2 up, they'll be parallel to the Earth line here. Okay, yet another point of view. This is from the equator of Jupiter. I'm going to speed up time a little bit, but show the next 24 hours of Jupiter's sky. Here's Europa at its western elongation. Eastern elongation, that is. So the red spot crosses the meridian twice today. First at 6:56 and the next at 16:52 UTC. There were some new images posted. One new image posted. And there was some new radio data taken on the 11th of January. Interesting structures here. And there were no new papers. The time of this recording is 23:40 UTC on the 11th of January 2015. So please subscribe. Would really enjoy hearing your comments. If you're watching this, please leave a comment below. Let me know that you've seen it. And I'd really like to hear what you think. Always trying to make improvements, and this is a small part of a larger project that I am developing. So you can send your images and comments to the email shown. And until tomorrow, I bid you peace.